Hi, this is M. Prasad Naidu. Today we are discussing about the biostatistics. Biostatistics, and we are talking about coming basics of research. So what are the basics of research? The dynamics and uncertainty. This very continuous change in the nature bring the uncertainty or the variability in each every state in the universe. So uncertainty and variability prevalent nature prevalent is nature diffuse difficulty to satisfy in our urge and acquiring the knowledge, and it encountering the uncertainty and variability thereby the understanding their role in rational explanation facts it becomes basic features of science. We by the no mean can be controlled or overpowered the factors of uncertainty but capability of measuring in terms of probability. These measurements helps to the lot of experimentations and making the interference with minimum interference the change luck factors. It is true as in case variability is also which once against cannot eliminate but easily measurable. The measures of deviations and tendency plays a key role in all research. Biological observations through this universe is fully uncertainty and variability. A large set of experimental biological observations always tends towards the normal distributions. Distributions are different types of distribution. There are binomial distribution, normal distribution, Poisson distribution. These are the several standard normal distribution. These are different types of distribution. Interstational statistics. This unique the behavior the data in the key to the entire the internal inferential statistics. So population of probability distribution like binomial distribution, normal distribution, Poisson distribution. These are all distributions. So sample distributions like chi-square test and t-test and f-test, z-test, these are the tests. Central tendency, the role is central tendency is central value, that means average we will take that the mean is a difference like a mean, median, mode. These are the three types we will coming to the central tendency. Three averages, this is the central part of the value. So population and sample distribution frequently used for the probability calculations and also testing the hypothesis through the various tests of significance. Relativity, that means understanding that relativity components hidden invariability in most of the scientific explanation is still more important. Most of the quality characteristics involved in the experimentations either as independent dependent variables are measured related terms defining the absolute zero pain stress or measuring the health and diseases, or also even the quantitative variables like temperature when the absolute zero is difficulty to know are the examples of inherent variability measures measurements and require the special attentions while the making about the interface based on such measurements. Inductive reasoning, the repeated experimental essential under the same the conditions keenly observing the outcomes times and relating the derive the facts of the systems followed the inductive reasoning in science. Deductive reasonings pure mathematics is an examples for formal science or deductive reasoning, and where the conclusions are derived from the basis of existence of definitions or their axioms. The principles of decision making inductive reasonings helps to the developing of the principle that can be generalized. The deductive reasoning that guides us a generalized decision making. This also measurements of scales like nominal scale name, age, ordinal scale primary order, secondary order, tertiary order. Intervals means that means the ratio between the two intervals and the ratio scales. Some of the errors and bias. Bias means different types of bias. There is sampling bias and non-sampling bias. The different types of bias. Non-experimental or observation can be total free from the errors of escape from the bias, but we mostly recognize the for their eliminations are as possible to control the and minimize the effects. Measurements even the being the valid if lack of precision and accuracy irrespective to the magnitude and quantitative or deviation from the intent of measurements like called as errors. One-sided separated errors, systemic error is called bias. The bias like selections of allocation bias and measuremental bias or instrumental bias like intra and inter bias, observer bias like miscellaneous bias, some instrumental bias means observer biases or interviewer or observer bias. These are the bias. We know that techniques binding the randomization, replication and standardization like selection of controls to great extent the experimental design do the help as overcome the some of the so variables we all know the text can be or can assume the variable value like but same kind of quantity may be a constant in the some situations and variables in another. So classifications like the variables broadly classified into number of ways such as contributions and discrete and quantitative and qualitative and random and non-random classifications. So terminologies, role of variables more useful terminologies to explain the role of status and variables. So these terminology variables like independent, dependent and intervarying, parallel and non-parallel, confounding, these are the different types of bias. So we are talking about the probabilities and all those things. Thank you.